Okay, let me start quickly by sharing a survey that was done. And maybe it's no surprise that this survey asking supply chain executives what's their biggest trends or challenges for the next 5 years. And as you can see, AI is on top. And maybe during this event, a lot or everyone is talking about AI. Then comes sustainability and others. But maybe to make this survey more practical, let's group what we see here into 4 categories and try to talk about each one of them. We said the first one is AI and machine learning. We know it's not new, but relatively with ChatGPT in November, I think 2022, when it was first released, it became the fastest growing app with more than 100 million users weekly. So what does this tell us? This tells us that there is a value being generated out of this app. And if I want to bring this to SAP world, and my colleagues maybe talked this morning, there is more than 400 AI, business AI, available in SAP products, with more than 30,000 customers using these AI applications. When we move forward, we'll speak how does this AI help logistics specifically. So the first one we said is AI. The second one is sustainability. And again, it's no surprise when supply chain contributes to 60% of the global carbon emission. In the EU, they are taking more measures. Even in the US, you can see a lot of talks in the Congress and other areas. California is ahead of other states, specifically on looking at how do you charge these companies for the carbon emission. And a couple of weeks back, I was reading an article in Harvard Business Review. And we can't discuss it, but I'll just share the title, that carbon emission is expected to be the highest liabilities for companies, which means that it's not enough today for your organization to track where is my order, where is my shipment. I need to track how much carbon emission it's generating. And later, these companies are expected to be charged for this. So the second one is sustainability. The third one I like here, we talk about labor shortages. We also talk about warehouse robotics and automation. We also talk about e-commerce. I will club them all if we want to talk about robotics and automation. First of all, labor shortages is there to stay. We don't see any indication that labor shortages will change. And there is many reasons, but one that is very clear, warehousing and transportation is not an attractive industry at all for the new generation. It doesn't pay well, it's not safe, it uses an old technology, and on top of this, it doesn't give any purpose. It requires a lot of hard work, you have to carry heavy items and so on. And this automatically drives us to automation and robotics. So when we talk about automation and robotics, what we're trying to do, we're trying to eliminate the repetitive task. We're trying to make it a safer environment. And at the same time, we're making sure that the users there are working hand in hand with robots. And this is what we call collaborative robots, cobots. Again, if we look at the automated warehouses, it's not new. The first fully automated warehouse in Germany was in 1962. Now we're talking about it again. Specifically on the US, the labor shortage is one thing, but also the growth in e-commerce is the second thing. This growth is forcing companies to look at a way to improve throughput. I did a project in Germany with QVC 20 years ago. I was very young that time. And they used to do 80,000 orders a day. And this was a very, very big number. Today, we have a customer who's doing 1 million picks an hour, just to give you where we are today. And no labor is able to keep up with this. The fourth category, as we said, I will group everything else which talks about cybersecurity, which talks about geopolitical risks, which will continue to happen. Okay? So these are the top 4 if I want to group 4 categories. And moving forward, I want to share with you a graph. And I really, really, really like this graph. It's 20 years old by a university professor. But let's start with the green rectangle. The green rectangle is a business event. Business event could be a hurricane, and last week we saw a hurricane. Business event could be a new product introduction. Business event could be the Suez Canal. Business event could be a short pick in the warehouse. Anything that happens is a business event. That's not a happy path. When a business event happens, this graph tells us we take time to know what happened, then we try to analyze data, then we try to understand and to take action. The longer it takes us to find the action, the more it costs organizations. And a simple example, last week, the hurricane, I'm sure many shipments were late and so on. If I'm an organization that have 4 or 5 containers in this business event, what do? First, I know that my containers are impacted. Then I need to know what's on these containers. Then I need to understand if whatever is in this container is affecting my supply or my customer. Then I have to make sure I find an alternative source of supply to be able to fulfill. So when we talk about the trends of AI and so on, they will not stop the business events. Disruption is part of the supply chain. This business event, natural disaster, will continue to happen. But what AI will give us is the ability to predict, the ability to track, understanding what's the ETA, plus being able to give me a resolution, which means that if I know that this container has a raw material that I need my production run, immediately I need to start looking at a new source of supply or changing my production plan. This is where we expect AI and machine learning to help us. And this morning I woke up, I just want to read some news, and maybe many of you have seen this, the port strikes in the East and the Gulf Coast. Just to put this in context, $6 billion we lose every day when there is a port strike, $6 billion per day. 40% of the agricultural products that are exported from the United States go through one of these ports. So just to get an idea, if I'm an organization, I need to know what does this mean to my supply chain. I need to be able to understand which products are impacted, which customer are impacted, which product line in my production. So if I want to leave you with one thing today is our objective by using this technology is to eliminate latency. So in reality, we want to make sure this curve is as short as possible, which means when a business event happens, your organization have the tool proactively to take action, not wait days and weeks to take action. A simple example with the Suez Canal, and my wife is a big fan of IKEA. So 40 containers of IKEA stock were stuck on the vessel that time, on one of the vessels. So you will go to a IKEA in Dubai, the shelves are fully empty. Imagine the whole business model is that you walk and pick from the shelf. So imagine the impact on certain organization. Maybe we don't see it every day. We saw it during COVID. Everyone was running, and I think we still have sanitizers from that days. But what we're saying is organizations need to be able to proactively react to these business events. We can't stop a hurricane. But what we do, we are able to predict, we are able to react better, we're able to take action. And this is what we're talking about. And I want to put on my SAP hat now. And this is the areas of focus for us. And many of them, I talked about AI and robotics. But I want to talk a little bit about freight networks, for example. When we talk about this visibility and taking action, it's not enough to look inside your organization. If I need to know if a container is late, I need to be able to talk to my supplier. I need to be able to talk to the logistics service provider. But guess what? Supply chain is not a single tier. Most of the time, it's a multi-tier. It's a supplier-supplier. And this is why in SAP world, we call it business network. And when we talk about business network, is understanding what's happening with my supplier and my supplier's supplier, but also understanding what's happening with my shipment to be able to give my customer the proper information. So having this end-to-end visibility, not only within your organization, is extremely important. And within your organization, when I know a shipment is late, it's not enough for the transportation team to know about it. The customer service need to know, which means that this ETA need to go back to your ERP for your MRP run or for your customer service to know. Other things, I will pick two things. One is insight and intelligence, which is down on the left. And when we talk about insight and intelligence, we've been historically speaking about visibility, KPIs, visibility. It's not enough. It's not enough to have visibility that my truck is late. I need to understand why it's late, and I want to have an action to be able to find a resolution for this. And the last thing is mobility. I talked about the lack of interest for the new generation in the warehouse. And really, many of it is related to the user experience, is related to if I'm using an iPhone at home, going to a warehouse, still on a pen on a paper, or a rugged device, or scan and wait for 5 minutes. This doesn't work anymore. And this is why a lot of the customers and a lot of investment in SAP in this area, which we call it mobile solution, next generation. And I think there is a session after 1 hour or so with our partners from Apple, and they will also talk about this user experience and the need to have this type of user experience in the warehouse as well. Last thing on AI and machine learning, SAP invested or committed to invest last year and this year more than $1 billion on AI. And as I said, 30,000 customers are already using it. One of the biggest challenges for AI that I see with customers is they don't know where to start. And I feel like AI a moving target. I want to start, but by the time I start, it's already gone. Something new started. So the first thing, SAP bringing in business AI within the application is an excellent starting point that will help the business realize value. But they will still have to find a way, as the team shared in the morning, to add more AI with SAP or with SAP partners that allow you to grow using AI. But you need to start somewhere, and you need to start today. My last slide, before I hand it over to the team, is when we look at logistics in an SAP world, we look at it as a logistics hub. And when I say a logistics hub, because today warehousing, yard management, transportation, and what SAP calls the business network need to be seamlessly talking together. And they are all empowered with AI, with robotics, with automation. So it's a single process integration. So if you have a customer order, understanding how to fulfill it, but then the customer might change their mind, change the quantity. How is this reflected to the warehouse? How is this reflected? Today we work with Amazon or others. When we buy online, we don't think. We try to cancel an order. Sometimes it allows us, sometimes it doesn't allow us, sometimes we have to talk to a customer service and so on. It's exactly the same. But for your organization, most of the time it's a B2B, which means that you need to be able to do this, to reflect and do these changes. So the collaboration with your trading partners is also at the forecast level. It doesn't start at the order level. It starts way before. And it goes up to the last mile, to the delivery part. So I'll keep you with this before I hand it over to the team. And what the team will show you is 3 use cases. One is using AI in goods receipt. The second one is using augmented reality for picking. And the third one is automation and robotics.
We are the Industry 4.0 Center based out of Newtown, aspects of the digital supply chain that's possible, right? So this is a live showcase, and we show all scenarios across the supply chain, covering planning, manufacturing, logistics, and what have you, right? So right now, you are seeing our discrete space of the showcase, and here we will share some of the stories and use cases that are possible on the logistics side. And as Kam mentioned, we'll start with the intelligent goods scenario that we would like to showcase, right? So Jay, over to you for the scenario.
Sure. Thanks, Sujit. Kam, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you perfectly.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks, everyone. So the first scenario we're going to show you is AI-based intelligent goods receipt. And why we need to do a AI-based intelligent goods receipt? You know, majority of your inbound shipments, okay, your supplier do not send a ASN. So when they do not send a ASN, there's a lot of manual work that needs to be done. So what SAP has done is they have a AI-based intelligent goods receipt where we use a large language model along with SAP's document extraction service and also GPT-3 extraction. So we use this to create your inbound cargo documents. So the benefits of that is it reduces your manual checks, because one thing is you can have, so what you're seeing is a delivery note that this is what you get it, but from different suppliers, you can get this in different format and different layouts and everything, and also different languages. So one thing is you can reduce the time you spend in the manual checks, and also improve your operational efficiency, so thereby you save the time and the cost with that. And also you expedite your unloading your freight also. The faster you unload it, you get into your warehouse and you can use it for all your subsequent process. You either use it as a raw material or as a finished product or whatever it is. So the AI intelligent goods receipt speeds up the whole process, and all it needs is 3 steps. So you scan a document. So like I said, you have a delivery note that's printed and your supplier sends it to you, and you just scan the document. You let the SAP document extraction service analyze the information, and I'm going to show you all this real quick. So you scan, you let the system analyze it, and finally it creates the inbound cargo document. So 3 easy steps, and in no matter of time, it will be all done. So, so what you're seeing now is I am creating a consignment order. So I'm in the consignment order, and you can see all I need to do is I'm selecting the document type for consignment, and in the attachments, I go and say, hey, I'm attaching the scanned file. So I'm creating so this is the delivery note, and I'll say intelligent goods receipt for, okay. And I select the file, and let's assume it is 11, and that's it. So I selected the type, I loaded the file, okay? And now, next is you need to tell the system, hey, go ahead and analyze the information. So I'm going to click on this, and it says it will be saved. And it has already created a consignment order. So let me go ahead and finish it, okay? And so what it has done is it has taken this information, it has sent it to the SAP's document extraction service. So let me show you what information has been received on the document extraction service. So let me do a quick refresh. There you go. So this is a document I uploaded, and you can see the system has already processed this, and let's look at the contents of the document that I uploaded. So like I have shown you here, okay? So this is the document that I uploaded. You can see every supplier can have different formats and everything. So the system is smart enough to analyze that this is the document date, this is a purchase order number, and from which supplier. And also all the material information has come through, and it has highlighted all this. And if you want to see more details of which field and which value, I can click on the extraction results, and you can see here, okay, supplier is this, delivery date, document number, and all these things. So it has quickly gone through the information of your delivery document, and it has created all this. Now this is the document extraction service. Now let's see what is being shown in the consignment order. You can see all I did was I just loaded it. So let me do a refresh, and I'll go to the document flow. There you go. So you can see now, all I did was creating a consignment order. I uploaded a file, and that's it, okay? Now you can see it has created an inbound delivery document it automatically identified the purchase order. It linked that purchase order to the inbound delivery. It also created a consignment order, and all this information is there. And if I want to go into the items, you can see it has also identified which material that this particular inbound delivery is for, and what is the quantity, and all this information. So very quick 3 steps of how quickly you can expedite, okay, the creation of your cargo documents. So scan, you analyze, and it creates. So this is the power of AI. Like I said, it uses a large language model and the document extraction service and also the GPT-3 extraction, and it supports all different formats. So like, one thing is it does not need to be a PDF. It can also be a JPEG, PNG, any format it can be, and it can go about. So this is a quick presentation of how to use AI for your inbound cargo documents creation. Any questions before we move to the next scenario?
Thank you, Jay. In summary, what used to be take a document, scan it through OCR, and get it into the system, it's now a mobile app using AI and machine learning that it will learn based on the supplier, even if the format change, multilingual or anything. It requires training initially, but as it goes, so regardless if things change, the document layout change. So the customer who's using it used to take 2 to 4 hours every time to process a container. Now it's less than 10 minutes. So the dock-to-stock time is minimized, plus labor savings. Okay, we can go to the next one, Jay, please.
Excellent. So, yeah, thanks very much. The next scenario that we are going to be showing you is an example of how we can use a partner solution from our partner TeamViewer to work alongside with EWM in a pick and pack scenario for a warehouse operator that receives a warehouse order with some materials that they need to go and pick out of the different storage bins that we have here. Pack those into a handling unit and deliver them to a different location. This could be either an in-process order that we're doing in the middle of our manufacturing process, or it could be an order for outbound shipping. And what we'll show here is our miniature warehouse that we have right here behind me has a number of different components that I am going to need to find. And through the use of this wearable headset that I'm wearing right here, I'm going to use the camera that is inside here to verify that I have the correct part by scanning a QR code that will tell me that I have the correct part. And then using my voice, I'm going to speak and say how many of the actual units I am picking. And all of that information will be recorded and then sent back to SAP EWM so that we can accurately record that information of how much was picked, where did those components go, and if there were any exceptions during that process. So what we'll show you first is what that order looks like inside of EWM. We'll bring up that screen so that you're able to see the warehouse orders. And what you'll see is there are quite a few orders in our queue. And those are available and ready for me as an operator to pick up. We'll see that we have one of them highlighted there in that selection window of warehouse orders. And then down below, we have the warehouse tasks. And each task corresponds to a material that I need to pick out of that bin and deliver to its destination location. So in this case, there are 2 tasks there. I believe they are going to be for 2 different tube assemblies that we use here in the construction of a valve that is pneumatically controlled. So we use those tubes. Okay. And so what we'll do now is bring up the screen so that you can see actually what I'm seeing in this little heads-up display. So this heads-up display gives me the view that you're seeing there on the screen right now. And this first step is how I would select that order. And I could do it by a few different options, but the one that I'm going to do is use the queue that we had available. That will give me the next order in that queue. So I'm simply going to say by queue, and then I'm going to scan the QR code that is corresponding to that queue. And what I get is the very first order in that queue, the first available order pops up here in my field of view. More. What you can see now is the order number. I can see how many tasks I have to execute and where I'm going to do this. So what I'm simply going to do now is say next, And this is the first task in that order. So the very top value, that is the location of where this rack is located. The second number down, that 8,123, that is the handling unit that I need to locate here. And then the value that's highlighted in orange, that's what I need to verify. That is the, part number of this, this black air tube. So what the system wants me to do is take a look at that QR code to make sure that I have the appropriate part. So on my bin here, we have the code for the black air tube, and I'm going to use my camera to verify that more. So what I will do is say scan. And now I can check that. We'll see that that description or that part number goes green to show that that has been verified, and automatically advances me to the next step, which is to say how many of these tubes I'm going to select. And it's calling for 2, so I am going to say pick 2. And that verifies that I have selected 2 of these. I will put them in my location over here, and it automatically advances me to the next task in this queue. In this case, this is for the red tubes. So that bin is right here, but let me show you 2 things. What if I still had the bin that the black tubes came out of? I get some real-time feedback as to whether or not I have the correct part. So I'll say, in this case, scan. And this is not the correct part. So what you'll see is a red square drawn over that QR code, giving me some feedback to let me know that this is not the correct part, right? So if I grab the actual bin for my red tubes, I can come over here and I will say scan. And now I can verify that that is in fact the correct part. But what if I only had 1 tube, right, out of 2? I need the ability to be able to log an exception here. So what I would say is exceptions, change amount, 1, change. And now we'll see that that value has changed from 2 to 1. And then when we complete this order, we'll see how that goes back to the order in EWM. So I will simply say here, pick 1. And now we've selected that and we've started the put away phase. And what I can do is go to my destination. I can scan that destination code to make sure that I have the correct location. But in this case, because these are all going into that same location, I can simplify that by saying put all. And that will take all of these components and put them into that destination bin. And then the order will be completed. We can see that this 159 order has been completed and sent that information back to EWM. Another thing that I didn't mention here, but is important to note, is you saw me kind of picking up these bins and using the camera here on this wearable headset. That's one way to do it. We can also pair it with a ring scanner, so that way it makes it a little bit more efficient for a warehouse operator to kind of walk by and scan these by hand without having to use the camera here on the headset. So just point that out, that is an option. But the last thing we'll do now is go back into EWM. And we'll go to that same order, that 159 order, and give it a refresh. And what we will be able to see is that the status of those warehouse tasks have now changed to C to show that they have been completed and confirmed. And then if we are able to show, I think we may have timed out of our system there. We might have to log back in. But what we would see, sometimes this happens, we time out of our systems and have to log back in. That's okay, that's for security purposes. But what we would see is the value has updated in EWM to show exactly how many units were picked, where did they go, the exception that was logged when I only picked 1 unit instead of 2, that one will be visible as well. Looks like I think we are pulling that up right now. and probably be able to see that in just a second. So there we can see the status is C for confirmed, and we'll scroll over. You'll see the exception column where we have logged the exception for that second task where I only picked one unit where I was required to pick two. So a really quick example of how we can use SAP with third-party endorsed partner solutions to make an warehouse operator more efficient, speed up the process and give them some visual feedback as they're executing those orders. Any questions before we move on to the next scenario?
Thank you, Ben. That's great. So we still have one use case where we will see the robotics with automation. In the meantime, what we've seen here is we call it hands-free, eyes-free, which means allowing you to pick quicker, mainly in service parts, and a lot of value in a lot of industries, especially when you're doing small item picking, pick to cart, and so on. It's the advancement of voice picking. We can share some use cases if there's any questions. Yes, for the last scenario, team.
So we'll get to the last scenario right now. And what you can see in the camera right now is our automated storage and retrieval system. And to the right, we have a couple of AGVs that shall help in the operation, right? So Kam spoke a lot about automation, and there are various forms of automation that is hitting the warehouses and logistics use case landscape. And we are just going to show one of them right now. So now just imagine you have your truck ready for loading. Your truck is right there, and you are ready to create the delivery order and get the material out from the storage to the truck, right? So I have my freight order over there, and I'm just going to kickstart and create the delivery order. Right. Now, what this does is it does a check if the item is there inside the warehouse, ready to be shipped to your customer site as well. And what you can now see on the cameras is the automated storage and retrieval system has kicked things in order, and it has asked the materials to be brought out. So the automated storage and retrieval system is completely mapped inside the EWM system. You also have conveyors right in front. And if you can see, there are those blue bar devices on the side of the conveyor system. I'll just come here in front of the camera and point it out. So you see these blue system, they are barcode readers, and they also update the information inside your EWM system. So you may have huge conveyor systems that you may want to deploy. At any point in time, you want to update that information inside EWM, you can do so. Now, what has happened is the material has moved into the conveyor system, and now that material is quite big, right? Not something that I can lift. So these are tasks that we can then hand over to these automated guided vehicles, right? It can be automated forklifts, it can be automated mobile robots, it can be AGVs, what have you. But you can see right now in your camera that the task has been handed over to this particular AGV to bring the materials in. This is something you can also observe inside your EWM system, because right now, if I refresh my EWM system, you can see the warehouse order has been handed over to the warehouse robots in play over here. Now, as the material moves and is being brought out by these AGVs, you also have multiple options to track the entire operation, because you would like to know where your material is at any point in time, who's operating, where is it being brought out, right? We have a small showcase center here, but in good reality, the customers like you have a huge spread over multiple square feet out there, right? So there are some systems to help us out here. Now, first, I'll just show you a fleet management system that we have through our partner Kinexion that integrates with our AGVs. So you can see at any point in time where the AGVs are and where is it bringing tasks. So right now you can see one of our AGVs, Judge, bringing the tasks here. Now, so what's happening here is your EWM system, it takes the tasks and translates it into the AGVs and distributes it. And as the AGVs go about the task, the updates are also sent and translated to the EWM signals. Another thing that we have kept is also real-time location systems, right? So Jay, if you could just pan the camera to the top of the ceilings, what you could find is like we have these white antennas, these anchor points spread throughout our warehouse location system that provides real-time updates of these bins, right? So each of these bins have been fitted with a tag that allows us to get the information of where the materials are at any point in time. So if I just zoom into the map, you can see my handling unit, my particular bin over there is moving from one place to another, right? And it is right now being brought over to my quality station, where I then just do a final quality check and push it onto the truck. And there are these devices, you can see it in front as well. So these devices are something that we call as real-time location system. They also have an e-reader in front of them. If I can just take one of them and point in front of the camera here. So these are tags that we fitted on each of these bins. They also get information of which particular order is being executed and some instructions to the warehouse operators that could help them in their task. Right? You don't need to have e-readers, you can just have tags visible as well. So you have these tags that are there, and you can just have them on the bins as well. But what we have done here is we have actually integrated a real-time location system service inside our EWM. So as the material moves around, we always get updates as to where the material is. And further, you can also automate tasks, right? So right now the material is here. It issues an automated goods receipt to EWM, confirms the location to EWM, saying, okay, these are over here as well. So these are also brought in because you have geofences that we have created in our warehouse. And as the material moves into certain geofences, those tasks, warehouse tasks are created and confirmed automatically, right? So this was just a simple showcase of how we are able to integrate all these automation. So we have digital signals coming from all these different systems. And underlying technologies can be anything, right? It can be RFID, it can be Bluetooth. This one is ultra-wide bandwidth. It doesn't matter. So you're really ready for automation because all these signals can be read and updated inside your warehouse management system, and you can automate and make your processes more efficient. So this is also something alluding to the point which Kam said, you are getting these signals at the time of the operations. You're not getting it late. So it's more near real time as to when these processes are getting updated. So that was a short demonstration. Kam, over to you.
Thank you very much. Just to say, whatever we've seen is just some samples in our smart factory. This is in Newtown Square in Philadelphia, and you're most welcome to visit. There is everything from manufacturing, design, and so whatever we've shown is some use cases that are there in SAP. So you're most welcome to coordinate with your account executive or with any of us, and we can arrange a visit. Okay? Thank you all, and sorry for keeping you late for lunch.